then we've got a special guest on the show, and is of course the CEO and director of Barista Coffee in Sri Lanka. Every single person who's actually watching the show has definitely been to at least one barista outlet in Sri Lanka, because the fact is it's very difficult to miss any one of them. They're everywhere. They're everywhere. But that's why we're going to basically be talking to Dilupa about so many other things on the show with us. Let's have him on the show. Hi Dilupa, how are you?
Hi Shaq, how are you? I'm all right. I'm fine, surviving, but little concerned now with the news that you brought in. No salt, no lot of dengue, lot of COVID, and no doctors,
no salt, no doctors, right? No medicine, no teachers, dengue on the rise, chikungunya on the rise.
You don't have to worry because you don't use any of those ingredients. As long as coffee and sugar is here, you don't have to worry. The moment they say no coffee,
a little bit of salt.
Barista doesn't use salt in their food.
No, you can.
But hint of salt we need, like not a much. Just
a pinch of salt.
Pinch of salt.
Okay, Dilupa. Now let's talk about Barista. Okay, and of course you are the CEO and director of Barista, and we will also basically talk about the expansion program that you have been having for the last several months or so. How has Barista over the years has actually become like a meetup spot for everyone out there? I mean, you know, at the end of the day, I've had many meetings at Barista, right? We've bumped into each other many times at Barista also. And we also see, for example, the Gen Zs love to actually hang around at Barista. What's the transformation? How did that actually happen?
Well, Shaq, when we even started all this process, now when I joined also 2018, we had a strategic decisions to make coffee more affordable and accessible to all Sri Lankans. So that was the whole plan. And in that strategic viewpoint, we realized we have to give so many reasons for people to come to our cafes, not just for coffee, because we've been trying that for at least about 17 years. That didn't work because we couldn't take coffee away from Colombo. So we decided, let's give so many reasons. So we have identified different need states of human, like the recharge, rejuvenation, but more than that, socializing, camaraderie, and hustling inside cafes. So that was a very strategic decisions we made, and we worked on it for so long, and finally, like right now, only the strategies that we have taken about few years back is really getting into practice and play. That is what you see. Everybody is there for so many reasons.
Now, Dilupa, what we have seen in the last several months is barista outlets being open in different parts of Sri Lanka, right?
Yeah.
Sri Lanka, as you know, is a traditionally tea drinking country, right?
Yeah.
Everywhere, basically, wherever you go, even if you go to the rural areas, there's always a tea kade somewhere, right? Now, Barista has actually taken that step in trying to, move into different parts, taking coffee from Colombo out to the outskirts, right? How has that been welcomed? It couldn't have been easy.
No, actually it wasn't. But so initially when we, like in 2020s, 2021, we were decided to, take it away from Colombo. It was a decision that with lot of concerns to everybody, and in fact for us also, because the whole culture has to be taught, because we are predominantly a tea country, and I don't think that has changed a bit, because I'm still having a plain tea right now. So what we wanted was not only to sell coffee, but also to give many other reasons, and we knew that some of the parts of Sri Lanka were not ready, but what we had was patience. Like, we went to go like 3 years ago, and Kurunagala was about 1.5 years ago. So when some of the locations actually surprised us, there was some locations like Mathura, we thought we will take little time for the education, the category education and recruitment to happen, but it happens very quickly. But some of the locations, of course, I have to be honest, like it took little time for people to understand and to get into the value proposition that we were proposing them to accept and come in. But what happens is, like, I always believe that coffee was positioned a little too premium in the market. And our strategy was to make it more affordable and available. So affordability, of course, still if you see our prices and how we, pitch our products are more, affordable range still. So that helped us to go into the rural areas, because most of the people are trying the first time the coffee. So it can't be very expensive experience for them to try something out. So initially we introduce coffee at lower prices as a category recruiters, and then we introduce them different varieties of coffee, different sizes of coffee, so that we can increase the basket value. So that's how it's been done.
Dilupa, from what the understanding that I have when it comes to your chain of coffee shops, right? I think you didn't emphasize or shout on the fact of it being a coffee shop.
Yeah.
Right? I think you very strategically took this the main ingredient out of your chain and made it a place where people can come and hang out, where people can come for other things, right? To have a good meal, right? To have some good dessert, right? And to have some good sandwiches, something like that, right? I think probably that is one reason where a tea-loving country, right? අපි තුන් වේලම තේ බොන කට්ටියනේ. උදේටත් තේ බොනවා, දවල්ටත් තේ බොනවා, රැටත් තේ බොනවානේ දිලුප, right? ඒ සංකල්පය කඩලා ඉවර වෙලා මේ ආයතනයට ගෙනල්ලා තියෙන විදිය, I think it's remarkable. What is your take on that? Did you all have any strategical planning like that, or is it something that happened accidentally, or was it forecasted in your marketing plan?
No, actually, we forecasted it. We really planned for it. We realized, we had so much of facts when I even joined in 2018. We've been there in the business for almost 17 years. What that 17 years strategy had brought us was only 7 outlets. And also those outlets are also not doing really well, I have to say. So we realized that this strategy, if we are trying to, follow and emphasize the same strategy for another 10 years, we'll have to be there. So what we decided was not trying to, put coffee through the throats of consumers, but let's make it a more community hub. Let's do a design of outlet layout so that people can come, hang around. Somebody can, do computer work. Somebody can have a meeting, interview. Someone is playing guitar. So we've given so many reasons for people to come, and also a little bit of branding. I have to talk about that seriously also. We took branding very seriously because, of course, that is my favorite area too. So we decided to build core values around the brand and then to protect it for a longer period of time. And we wanted people to see that it's an authentic effort of getting people a better experience, because I think in Sri Lanka that third place was missing. You have office, you have home, you want to have somewhere in between for you to, spend some time, maybe alone. If you see the amount of people who just come for a coffee, maybe an Americano with a smoke, and just don't talk to anybody for 30 minutes, that is also something that most of the, people like millennials would be missing right now when they're getting into their 35 to 40s. But then Gen Zs and Gen Alphas, they have so many other reasons. So technically giving more reasons for people to gather in a community hub was the answer for that. And that was strategical, and that was well thought of. Yes.
Yeah. So, you guys have obviously branched out strategically and branched out very well, right? So for the rural areas, or let's put it this way, for the coffee shops which have been opened outside of Colombo, how did you all find the trainers and the waiters and the coffee makers? How did the recruitment go? How did the training go about all of that?
So that actually now only I like, that's the biggest challenge, that's the $1 million questions. The barista is not an easy thing to train also. It is more technical, more machine based, and we are very, very concerned about it. But luckily for the 17 years of operation had given us very disciplined set of procedures and practices of barista training. In fact, we had some great baristas who were like 5 years, 6 years in the system. So what we did was we planned out a very thorough training program. So if I'm to talk about it, we have 3 types of training happening. We have one set of training happening only at head office, where we use all our great trainers, like the head of training, and also head of HR, and myself also do some the strategic trainings. That's about 5 sessions of training there, and it's a sacred training. So that happens in head office. And then we have a concept called coffee marshals, where they are not the greatest trainers, but we have a second layer of trainers who are going outside Colombo and training inside the cafes itself. So we call them coffee marshals. So they go to outlet, they're on a roster, and they train baristas inside that. And also we have trained the trainers, that is the managers. They are training mostly the SOPs and cleaning and customer service and food safety and hygiene. So that is done by outlet managers. The 4th one is, of course, the new addition to the training program. That is our Barista Academy, which is a telephone app, like mobile app, where we have about 240 hours of training materials inside, and each and every employee gets a personal login to it, and according to their stage of their employment, they get exposed to all these trainings, and thereafter they have to do examinations online. So there's a huge process. I need to give the credit to my training team and HR team for organizing that. So it's a long process, but it's a cumbersome one, but very exciting one also.
Dilupa, do you know? Obviously, maybe every other week we see you opening a new outlet somewhere, right? And it's fantastic because you're obviously branching out a fair amount. Do you have a target that you need to open, 15 million outlets in Sri Lanka by the end of by the end of 2025? Is there a target that you're after? What's the reason behind this?
That's the thing. Shaq, I don't have a target in my head, neither I don't think my top management also, but we go by the year. Every time we open an outlet, we see whether consumers are giving us a message, like whether we are cannibalizing our own sales, whether the sales are coming down, touch wood, with all these chaos around. I think we still cater to a market that is growing. So every time we open an outlet, we don't go to very rural still, but we always wanted to be on the main roads to some, great cities in between. So then we find the sub-cities also are interested. So we are on a strategic map in Sri Lanka, where expansion also happens that way in a more strategic manner. Right now we get so many inquiries for franchising all the locations, but most of the time my job is now to sacrifice locations that people are requesting to open. But we are very watchful. Every time we open an outlet, we see whether we are getting any message from the market, but the message is still positive. So it could be 100, it could be 150, or it could be 200, but as long as we get our KPIs served, I think there's room to grow. And while opening outlet also, what happens is actually that culture slowly spreads out. So then village to village, to city, it also spreads out, so that it also opens up more avenues of revenue for us. So it's going hand in hand. So the expansion also helps us to expand more by spreading the culture around. Yes.
Dilupa, I have a question for you now.
Yes, please.
Coffee, we are popular as a nation for Sri Lankan tea. Sri Lankan, the brand Sri Lankan. You as a person in this coffee trade, there are so many countries like Brazil, Malaysia, where they grow the finest coffee. Then there is a type of coffee where goats poop out, and which is very expensive.
Yes.
What is that called?
Yeah.
Yeah, the raccoons.
Kopi.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
The
so that
raccoons,
one.
yes.
So, but my question is, are you having any plan to bring up a Sri Lankan brand? Perhaps encourage the rural folks, or at least the people in the upcountry, to have your own farms, to have your own estates of coffee, and bring coffee, Sri Lankan coffee, to the map somewhere down the line. Do you have any plan like that?
Well, I mean, honest answer is right now, I particularly don't have the good answer would be the perfect answer would be yes, I wanted to backward integrate and get into the cultivation of coffee and get the supply chain sorted locally. But the truth is, it's a different ball game altogether. It's a different infrastructure. It's a different strategies and different resources that we need, and also a lot of patience, because even if I start now or even 5 years later, it takes time to get the harvest of the requirement that right now I need. Frankly speaking, there are so many local suppliers who are interested, but they don't have enough, probably the capacity to serve Barista's requirement right now. So technically it's still imported, but I am probably waiting somebody else. So there are a lot of cultivation organizations. There are completely big conglomerates who are working on cultivations and agriculture, and I think they are already thought about it. They are investing on that in infrastructure. So when somebody is ready, for me, I'm more than ready to get into it, because even the global coffee prices have, during the last 4 months, it's a double, and there's a lot of pressure from supply chains, and right now we source from same supplier for some reason, but they are also saying it's getting challenged because the demand is so high and the supply has some issues during the last 6 months because of droughts and floods, and because it's a blend, some coffee come from somewhere and the rest of the coffee come from other side. So one side has flood, the other side had drought. So somewhere in between there's a problem for supply. I'd love to have it here in Sri Lanka, everything like the beans to roast to the blends to everything in Sri Lanka. I think we have to have it, because we started cultivating coffee before even tea, and we are in the right, I think, geographical and weather conditions to grow coffee. So somebody has to be very serious, maybe probably the government or big businesses, companies have to be very serious about it, because there's a huge demand here in Sri Lanka right now.
The thing that I really like and I love about Barista, right? Barista is an international chain, right? And yes, of course, it doesn't necessarily give you when you walk in that it's like an international chain. It is very homegrown.
Yeah, of course.
Because of the experience, it's cozy, the
perfect lighting.
No, that's one thing, but also the association, very good association with local events. Being a part of local events. So, I mean, nobody necessarily wants to look at Barista as like, it's an international chain, it's too big. And just what you actually mentioned, Dilupa, at the beginning of this conversation, is the fact that you didn't want to pitch Barista as a premium brand of sorts, a coffee as a premium brand. And by associating yourself with different types of events, different types of places, I think that lots of individuals have actually warmed up to Barista, and every time they see a Barista outlet opening up in their neighborhood, they're happy. You know what I'm saying? So I think in that way you've done a remarkable job there.
And I need to add as well, I'm a big fan when it comes to sitting alone and having a coffee and reading a book, and Barista is usually my go-to place.
Oh, nice.
And there are plenty of females who are extremely comfortable, males with their cigarettes and their coffee, that's fine, but ladies who come and just chill, and that's like an amazing place to be. So kudos to you and your team for that.
Thank you. And that was another reason why we wanted more participation to our staff of girls, like, so for girls also to come and be comfortable with. When like in 2018, it was about 7% of total workforce, because they thought barista is not kind of a ladies kind of work, because you have to work till late nights, and the shift has to be extended to late night and all that. But we found solution as much as possible. Right now 26% of our workforce is ladies, and my plan is to go up to about 33 to 35%. And right now when you see the recruitment, I see when you get a batch of CVs, I think I'm hitting that target also. About 40% of those CVs are coming from ladies, and that gives consumers, like the guests, also feeling that it's more, equality is being served at Barista. So it's a good feeling when you say that, and you have noticed.
Brilliant. Dilupa, thank you so much for being a part of the show, and congratulations in opening up the new outlets in different parts of Sri Lanka. Two final questions I actually have for you, right? First one is there a location in Sri Lanka that you really, really want to open a barista outlet but yet could not manage to do so?
I want to do one in Anuradhapura. I'm been trying that, and also I want to have one possible in Sripada, close to Sripada, because that's the ideal conditions to have a hot cup of coffee. I think it's called for it.
All right. Now, my final question, I'm going to put you on the spot, right? What is your favorite barista outlet?
That's a tough question. Okay, I like every outlet, but BIA outlet is special, because every time I go out, that's my final coffee or the final meal from Sri Lanka. So I like to sit there, have a coffee there, and then leave the country. So it's a little emotional.
Fabulous, fabulous. Dilupa, thank you so much. And
thank you, Chef. Thank you, everybody.
We'd love to hang out at any of our barista outlets.
Please come.
Outlets close by the studio here. You can trip and fall into a barista outlet, right? And
we'll get it more closer to you. We'll get it more closer to you. Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure. Thanks. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thanks, Dilupa. Have a good one.